Welcome, my stars of Orion. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Orionkelly, that autistic guy, and I'm all about providing validation and support for autistic people and their loved ones. Now, on this video, I'm joined by a real-life Twitch streamer who also happens to be a neurodivergent woman. Kiwi Mew, welcome!
Hi, hello, I'm Kiwi Mew.
I'm so happy to meet you and so happy to see you kind of in person. I've definitely seen you all over socials. But for those that haven't, do you want to just quickly bring us up to speed on who you are, what you do?
Sure, I am a Twitch streamer and I mostly stream Pokemon games, like not just Pokemon games, like mostly Nintendo games, but I also do just chatting about mental health because of my disability, and I want to help other people, not just my disability, but other people with mental health. Because I've been through therapy for a very long time, so everything I've been taught, I want to teach it. So yeah, that's basically what I try doing. It's just I want to help people basically like not feel alone. Sometimes we're not gifted with a mom and a dad to teach us in life, and I feel like people just didn't have the right people in their life, and I feel like if I can help people retrain their brain in a way where you can have confidence, I just don't want people feeling alone, and it's okay if you did some things that are cringing or what. I'm all here to help because life is about learning, you know, and we're here to make mistakes, and so I try my best to heal everyone online I can.
Did you have the right people in your life growing up?
So I know my mom and dad love me, of course. No parent is perfect, you know. In my early 20s, I had a very hard time, lost myself a little bit because I would point fingers, you know, and I was like, you didn't do this for me, you didn't do that. And I expected my parents to be these people that know autism, auditory processing, and which I will open up about. In the beginning, I had a very rough beginning. No one knew about anything about auditory processing. And when I got diagnosed, I was getting diagnosed with my sister. She has ADHD. My mom saw something in me, the way I interact at the park, so she wanted me to get tested too. And when I got tested, I would just hide underneath the table, and people would try to basically talk to me, but I felt so overwhelmed. I would love it, don't get me wrong. I would sit there for 15 minutes and be like, yeah, I'm playing around, but I would get so tired. And I would just be like, I can't, how do you guys do this? Can we do nap time? Are we having nap time? Like, I don't understand. It was very hard understanding that I was different. I thought everyone thought like me. No one explained to me about how bad, or not how bad, that's the wrong way of saying it, but how much of a struggle it would be growing up. And I was very hard on myself growing up. My mom didn't teach me about or look into auditory processing. It wasn't her fault because people didn't know what it was. They just thought, oh, processing issues. Growing up, I said, okay, I have processing issues. Let me see if I can get a job. And I did that all through a decade, my whole 20s. I tried doing the 9-to-5 everyone was doing, you know, and I just wanted to fit in. I didn't go to a doctor. I just said, oh, I got a little bit of a learning disability, but I was not responsible. I just kept on pushing it off, and that's where the mental health comes in. So that's why I try to help people fix the mental health first, better yourself, and then, you know, you can still do both, I feel like figure out your disability, but the mental health is the biggest thing, like your confidence, because that's what pushes you finding out, you know? I found out cheat codes. So the craziest part is auditory processing when I was younger wasn't linked to autism or anything like that. So I was in special ed. I just thought I accidentally, whoever you hang out with, you accidentally mimic and talk like them. If you talk like your mom or dad, you know, I just thought, okay, maybe I'm like that because of this. So it was very confusing in my 20s of understanding. And I was also ignorant myself. even though I was in special ed, I was like, well, I can walk and talk because that's what people told me, you know? When I was around 22, I'll never forget. This is why you gotta listen to your instinct. And I should have listened to it very early. My ex-boyfriend's mom was, when I was talking to her about this, I said, I think I'm autistic. And she said, honey, you walk and talk fine. You are not autistic. And I was like, huh? And she's like, you walk and talk fine. And I was just confused because I was in special ed and I'm like, they walk and talk fine too, lady. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? It was really weird. And I was like, okay, I must be wrong. I lost my confidence, mental health. So I wasn't learning the right, you know, so it's so important to figure out your mental health when you're figuring yourself out too. Very, very important, because you're just not going to do the right thing. It's just making steps go back. I lost my confidence. I was listening. Basically, what she was saying is what we all feel, like fear. This is what people think of us, you know, and we believe it sometimes. Like, we are our biggest bullies to ourselves. And I was very hard on myself, and I said, okay. And 2 years later, I was doing research on autism, and I'll never forget it. I broke down crying in a dark room, you know, and I looked at my laptop, and I was looking up APD and autism. I found out years later, talking to my grandpa's doctor. My grandpa had a brain doctor, very expensive. And when we were negotiating and talking and stuff like that, he was telling me with auditory processing, stop saying auditory processing, just say autism. And I said, no, I'm going to say auditory processing, because autism, I believe, is all together, but I feel like we're unique in different ways. You know what I mean? And it blew my mind. So I ignored what she said. I ignored what people said. You walk and talk fine. You could have it worse. You could have it. And I got help. So it took me forever, like until 30, to also not be scared of what I have. I noticed I would, in my whole 20s, like, I should go, but I was too scared to find out my weaknesses. Like, I was in denial my whole 20s and beat myself up because of mental health. So at 30, I just said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And basically, I found an auditory processing through Medicaid, and I got no help with, they say they help auditory processing people with autism. Like I said, we don't have a mom and dad just boop. Not everyone has that. I just wish they would understand that, and maybe something in school, like teachers pay attention, because there's some teachers that really don't care and just go in and do their job. And, you know, it's not all teachers. I had great teachers, don't get me wrong, but there's some people that are not doing it, but they're doing it for money. And that's what I felt like in my special ed class. I literally had a teacher tell me in my senior year, you are dumb. You're not going to learn this. You're not going to remember it in 10 years. That stuck with me. He thought he was being real with me. So all these things that people say about you, they think they know you. They don't know anything about you. They don't know anything about you. They're just people that are still living and learning just like you, you know, and they've never been around an autistic person. So we can be socially awkward to them, and they could be socially awkward too to us, you know, and it goes both ways. And it can make us feel uncomfortable. And I hope when I'm saying this, like, you're not feeling bad for me, because this made me into a person that now I can help people. You know what I mean? We can express and talk about not just trauma bond, because trauma bond is bad for you, but we can talk about and heal in a way where it doesn't have to be bad, you know? Yeah. There's also good things that happen with this. I got confidence. I learned that stop listening to people, stop listening to yourself, and talk to yourself. That's a huge thing, because we're very big and mean to ourselves. I think that was the hardest thing, is just through my 20s, going through mental health. I would have to say, with my studying with auditory processing and through my experience, it's definitely through my family line. I see my cousin the same way as me. I do think it's a family thing of genetic And when I was trying to understand myself and other people with auditory processing that I am finding, and I'm grateful of, is it's so sensitive at the age between 1 and 4. And we mask, especially women. We naturally just mask. And men also have a harder in my community where they feel like they have to be a man, and I hate that saying. I really, really do. And when I hear these people out, I just really want people out there that are helping to be patient and understanding, and if someone comes off wrong the first way, or just be understanding that we're all going through something. So as a streamer, I learned that. I didn't learn that before. I learned it as a streamer, where hearing people's stories, like, it's no one thinks just like you. You know, and I'm glad I did this. It was the scariest thing. Don't get me wrong. Streaming, I have people calling me the R word. I have awful things people say about me. Being sexually harassed because I have a learning disability. People think they could trick you. You deal with a lot of narcissist people where they think they can trick you. And it's very, very funny that they think that you're stupid because you deal with this all the time. So you're actually a pro at this. So don't think, like, in your early 20s, I really hope you're like, oh, I'm just going to get walked over all over. No. Your skin becomes thick. It definitely becomes thick, and you get stronger, and it doesn't affect you as much mentally. Especially when I go to bed. It's very, very importantly to learn and not be hard on yourself. We make mistakes, and we just got to learn from them, even if it's the first or second time, or just don't be hard on yourself. Because I notice a lot of people with disabilities, we're so hard on ourselves, and it drives me insane. I just want to heal all of everyone, you know? Like,
yeah. I mean, I totally get it. And you know what? Everything you say is very relatable. So, you know, there's so many things that popped up during that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Auditory processing. We are a puzzle piece.
Good.
I'm sorry.
It's good. Don't apologize. This is the easiest interview ever. I barely have to say anything. It's great.
Okay.
I love this. This is great. Don't bother. Don't worry about me. I'm good.
That's why we can stream.
Yeah. But I can tell you there's a few things that I just wanted to kind of talk about. So the first thing is, you're absolutely right. People always go, you know what, autistic kids just need a bit of resilience. And I always say, autistic kids are the most resilient people on the planet. Do you know what they go through every day? And you're right. But on saying that, though, we can be resilient and we can learn these things, like you say. But there's still part of us with a different brain that is there for the taking when it comes to manipulation and being taken advantage of. And even the strongest of us can still fall, you know, victims of that. And that's one of the issues I would be fearful of. Let's say, you know, I had a child who has started streaming. I'd be fearful of exactly what you just mentioned going through, right? Because, you know, even though this is empowering for them, it's also damaging for them. But I also picked up when you said, I don't want people to feel bad for me. And what's really fascinating is, from my point of view, what I can say is, we don't feel bad for you. We feel like, oh, okay, you're basically describing our story. Or we feel like we're not alone now. So, you know, when you share your story, we don't feel bad for you. We feel like, oh, thank God there's other people like me. I feel like I'm part of something now. So, you know, in many ways, all you're really doing is making people feel like they're not bad or broken or alone. That they're not feeling bad for you. They're feeling like, thank God for you telling your story. That's just factual. So it's important you understand how big it is, empowering it is for you to be vulnerable and open, and, you know, people will thank you for it. Trust me. But putting that aside, apart from, you know, looking in your 20s and your 30s, how early back do you remember life being hard and you feeling like, whoa, something's not right? This is different, or life is different for me than others?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I would have to say, so the best way I can describe it is, when I was little, it's kind of like a Disney movie. I didn't understand bad things. I did not understand when someone was mean. I didn't understand when someone would hit me. And I'm like, well, I would never hit you. You know? It's nothing that I was raised with, because my sisters would smack me all the time. I just never understand, like, why are you doing that? When I was growing up, my mom would accidentally, parents did this, you know? They would say, why are you being over dramatic? I'm like, I'm not over dramatic. It's just, I don't like being touched. I don't even like someone just holding my arm. This is my bubble. Stay away from my bubble. It's just, it was very tough explaining that. And I didn't understand that at such a young age. And I just thought there was something wrong with me, because that's what people said. They were like, you know, no one's going to hurt you. It's okay. Calm down. You know, and I knew about myself. And it's just, it's weird. It was weird.
How hard, though, for like a young person, a young girl, a young boy? You know, children are often misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed, and it can, you know, has lifelong effects, right? Because they're just told, you'll be right, you'll be fine. I mean,
mine was 3. It was 3 years old, and they said something weird, like, sometimes they just have to be careful what they say to parents. They told my mom that I wasn't gonna, that not I wasn't, that, but basically, like, it would be really difficult of me to get my license, have a boyfriend, have a house. They made it sound like my mom would have to be, like, my caretaker. And I noticed with parents, because I had parents reach out to me in a Facebook auditory processing group, and I would help parents out. It's so normal for the father to freak the hell out. It is so normal. He's just very defensive, and there's nothing wrong with my kid. That's how they get. It's actually endearing. They're not doing it in a bad way. It just comes off that way. And they're just very overprotective with their kid. And that's reasonable and that's good. It's just sometimes people come off the wrong way. And mothers get to this fear, like how my mom and other mothers are like, what's wrong with my kid? You're actually blessed, because these moms, like my 2 sisters, they have autistic sons. And never in my life I've seen so much love. That kid loves them no matter what, in the same way the other mothers talk about in the Facebook group, where they said, I get so much love, no offense to my other kids, but so much love for, like, just so much love, you know? So it's wonderful, and I wish moms want to go, oh no, like, I understand you worry about your kid's gonna have a hard future. They're gonna have a hard future, but you should be like, oh wow, it's rare for a reason. It's special for a reason. You have someone that thinks completely different, and I think that's pretty cool in your family.
Yeah. You know, the genetic connection obviously this is just pure science these days. We now know that there's genetic connections between these types of neurodivergent conditions, you know, whether it's ADHD, autism, auditory processing disorder, you know, whatever it is, NVLD, it doesn't really matter. They're all genetically connected, and they're all individual neurodivergent conditions. They're not all the same. But a lot of times I find the parents can get like that because the first thing they think of is, well, so it's my fault. You're blaming me. Like, they take it personally, like, so I gave it to them, or, you know, who gave it to them? You or was it me? And there's a blaming game going on, or was it my dad or my mum, or your dad or your mum? That's right, exactly. That's exactly. And that can create a lot of tension because, and a lot of people find that maybe early on or maybe forever, it changes and potentially breaks relationships with your own family. Getting a diagnosis later in life, or even, you know, when you're not a small child, because it's kind of like, well, so you're saying I missed it and it ruined you, and then you finally got it, and, you know, like, there's so many things for people to navigate as parents of people, you know. So from your point of view, when you were going through this, because I know you talked about the, you know, that period, you know, in your 20s when it was you passed your threshold and enough is enough, I'm going to look into this, and then you started to work out who you were. Did you experience from friends, from family, from people that were like, whatever, like, you know, come on, you weren't like that yesterday and now suddenly you're this? I mean, did you experience any of that kind of disbelief or pushback?
It was 2 spots, I feel like. The 2 spots, what I mean is when I hit 25, they said, like, what, your brain fully develops at 24? So it kind of makes sense why it happened to me at 25. And I was in that situation where I told you I was living with my ex's mom, and I feel like everything I was saying, it was wrong, but it was the truth, you know, and it wasn't a mental problem, because a lot of people, since I told people how I grew up and they saw me, just even seeing me, they were like, oh, she has a mental problem. So I was getting misdiagnosed between 20 and 25 of like, oh, it's anxiety and depression. Well, that's why you're freaking out in public. That's why. And I was just listening and not talking to myself at all, just listening to people, not listening to myself, not talking to myself, talking to them. It's so important to talk to yourself. So when I was 25, I went to inpatient. This is kind of touchy, but I'm very open about it. I've talked about it, not yet in my streams, but I am willing to talk about it because I'm here to help. And so when I was 25, I went to inpatient. I tried killing myself, and I was going to take all my medicine and swallow it. I wrote a Facebook post, I posted it, and my mom called me because my family called her, and I was in the middle of doing it. And in my post, I was hurt by the world. I just got cheated on. Dating was awful with auditory processing. You fall for narcissists. Like I said, you think like a Disney, you know, and you fall in love real fast. And I was with someone that I wasn't happy with, and basically he made me feel like a piece of crap listening to other people once again. And I tried doing it, and my mom stopped me. Now, it's kind of funny what I said at 20 years old. Mom, you don't love me, you don't love me, you don't love me. When I was being so hard on her, on my mom and dad. And my mom stopped me. The one woman stopped me. I was in tears, and she stopped me. She was like, it's just a moment. And she was right. It's just a moment. I wouldn't regret it. I'm so happy. I'm so happy because she saved my life there. And it was really tough because a high school friend called the cops. Cops came. I had to go to the hospital. I had to wait 7 hours for people to come to the hospital to put me in inpatient or not. And I got help, and it was tough. So weed wasn't legalized. When I was in the hospital and they found weed in my system, they put me in an inpatient with drug people. And at 25, I was hurt. When I was in an inpatient, I had very bad things happen to me because of processing issues, of understanding. I was in a new environment. I was sleeping in the same room with a stranger. We weren't outside. You're in four walls. Feels like jail. And I was too afraid to go home. I'd rather deal with that than go home. I didn't trust myself. I know I wanted to live. I know I was right. Deep down, I know I was right. So I said, this happened for a reason. My mom stopped me. There has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. During my inpatient and having a man come in my room, and I had to process that, waking up, and so many bad things happened at inpatient. While we had classes in inpatient, we were learning about drugs. While I was sitting there, I'm like, why am I here? This is nothing about auditory processing. This is nothing about autism. This is nothing about mental health. These are people that are like in serious stuff in a different case, different footsteps, different, still bad, same equal, bad, you know, but like, why am I here? Why am I here? And we had one day of a mental health, and it was like, boom, one day. In inpatient, like boom. And I'm glad I stayed because, you know, I feel like you have to do scary things. If your mental health is that bad, you have to own up, and you have to be real, and you have to not be scared, and you have to really snap out of it and be like, I need to get a therapist, I need to get help, because you will do stuff that you normally don't do and be very mean to yourself. So after that inpatient moment, I knew right there and then, I'm going to try one more time in work. I'm going to do 9 to 5, and I'm going to write everything I'm experiencing. For 5 years, I worked in a grocery store. Communication problems. When I did between 20 and 25, masking women. So easy. Hi, how can I help you? How's your day doing? You're having a good day? I'm so good. Hearing that. Oh, wow. How's Susie? Susie's doing good. Great. I'm glad Susie's doing good. Okay. Oh my God, I'm so glad she left. Oh my God. Like, I can't do this masking. And
that made me uncomfortable.
I know.
I don't want to be served by that person, by the way.
I don't know how these people do it. God bless you. I'm glad I'm autistic. Like, there's just some things, like, you know, I was just like, wow. But, you know, I did it, And I tried. I really did try fitting in because I really wanted to fit in. It's not like people tell me like you can sit home and just collect state, but you do that and it sometimes people just want a job, want a meaning, want a purpose and all of that. So I really did try. And then at the end I said, this is not healthy. Auditory processing, I got diagnosed with, it was mild when I was little. Then I went to moderate when I got re-diagnosed now, which was last year. But that's what I was afraid of. And I didn't think it was going to be worse, but it got worse. And I went with my mom, and that was tough with her. I saw the guilt because I read people. Autistic people read people like that because we mask, It wasn't bullcrap. She felt like she was way hard on me, and it kind of broke my heart, reading that and seeing that on my mom's face and not wanting her to be hard on herself, because I don't want any mom feeling like this is her fault, or that's again being hard on ourselves, repeating history, and I don't want to do that to my kid, so I'm trying to snap that off between me and her, not repeating history with that, don't be hard on ourselves, because autistic or not, a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I mean, you just, when you were just sharing that, it just dawned on me. Do you think that you just were trying so hard to be normal?
Oh,
basically?
yeah.
And do you think that might be more a woman girl thing? Like, do you think boys and men? I think maybe I wouldn't try as hard to be normal. Like, I'm like, I don't give you stuff you, man. I mean, do you think you were almost forced to be normal because you're a woman?
I think it's the way I think about it, and please don't mind me crying. These are not weakness. These are like strong ass tears.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy to be open.
So basically, like, the thing is with that is I noticed a role. What happened to our parents, especially being, because I was born in 1992. I'm a 90s baby. So with these roles, what we were taught at such a young age, here's your baby doll, take care of your baby. Play with your pancake, learn how to cook. It's not just autistic people, I notice, which is crazy. It's actually other people too. We all want to fit in. We all want to, be part of something. And yeah, so I noticed, like, with men, when they open up, it's the same thing with them, the way, like, here's your tool, here's your dino, here's your, and like I said, like, at that age, when you asked that good question, when did you notice? That's, like I said, like, when I noticed, it really dawns to you, like, am I different? Why does this feel different? Something feels off. Something's off. But yeah, that's what I just think it's from that. It's just young age 1 to 4, because it's so sensitive, and you just learn. You grasp how's mom talking to dad talking to mom. That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing.
But how ridiculous though would it be though if we challenged the neurotypical world to, for one day, try to be neurodivergent? I mean, they'd say, well, we can't be. We're not. Yet we spend a lifetime trying to be neurotypical. So it's just funny that for us it's a given that we're almost forced by the world to try and be neurotypical to make them happy, yet they would never even for a day consider trying to be neurodivergent or trying to even understand what that would be like. And I think that's probably one of the great challenges for neurodivergent people who are diagnosed, certainly later in life, because they're like, well, hang on, everyone I know thinks I'm normal and neurotypical, and suddenly I'm telling them I'm not, and they're like, well, then who were you? Who did I know?
Who were you?
Who did I marry? Who did I fall in love with? Right? Who did I date? I didn't know how to explain it. I mean, it is one of those situations, because I talk to people all the time. They weren't diagnosed until they had a child. The child really brought them to a diagnosis because you could kind of see in the child and then you have to think, okay, so they've got married and had kids before they even got a diagnosis. So then you've got a partner who married a person thinking they were normal, right? It's such a complicated life to navigate when you, like yourself, when you go down that road, later in life.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Definitely. It definitely is.
The stuff in the background talks about passions, right? Now, as autistic people, as neurodivergent people, we're very much about passions, right? You can be special interests, or you can just be the things that you're obsessively passionate about. How did you decide to get into, like the streaming, the gaming? Because I'm assuming the passion came well before you ever decided to stream it. So, talk us through where the passion came from initially. Like, was it something that kind of got you through life from a certain point in time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Basically, Nintendo games, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, obviously.
Yeah.
I didn't really have friends. It was really hard. That's like another part where I was slowly like beating myself up, and I wasn't understanding I'm different. No one taught me. Oh, it's your auditory processing. I wish someone at least, And it was playing just video games. I think it really hit home, and I didn't understand this until I got older. But I bumped into one of my sister's friends, and I don't even remember this. And she said, me and my sister were leaving to a New Year's party, and you were about like 10 years old. And do you remember us trying to invite you to the New Year's party? And I said, no, what are you talking about? She told me, my sister was like, no. I was like, why'd you invite me to an older birthday party? She goes, well, you were playing Animal Crossing on the Nintendo Switch, and your family and everyone, and you just rather be. And I'm like, because I didn't understand it was overwhelming. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to, I need to take breaks, So that's when I picked up like cigarettes too, because it was just an excuse to go outside. Now I've quit in 3 months. I've been no more vapes or cigarettes or anything like that. But that's another thing too. Where we try to mask and fit in, going back to that also, I notice a lot of people, we talk about that in the community, where a lot of us smoke cigarettes just to go outside as an excuse, and to, oh yeah, I'm just taking a smoke. And that's what I did. I didn't realize in my 20s that it was an excuse. So just like, oh, I need a cigarette. That's what it is, So, in your 30s, things start creeping up, and you start... Yeah. Finding things,
Yeah, I mean, I've got a 11-year-old now, autistic son, and I think one of the things that is probably most therapeutic for him after a long day at school, which is obviously very hard in mainstream school for autistic kids. He loves to get on his iPad and play some Minecraft, or he loves to get on the Nintendo, and there's just certain games that he likes to play, and it's interesting because it may have taken him longer to get into certain games, but then once he's into them and he loves them, it's really kind of a passion obsession for him. But I find also too, you hear about age appropriate, and I think maybe he's the kind of kid where he likes to play games that other kids his age might go, oh, that's like a baby game or something, like he's not. I'm not going to let an 11-year-old autistic kid play certain kind of online games that his mind is just not ready for, right? So he's obviously, like he likes to play Mario Kart and, all those types of games. But there's a game he plays where he's like, I don't know, he's jumping around and can't fall into things and all that kind of... don't start me, okay? I don't want to talk. But anyway, I feel like, now obviously this is a different situation, but I feel like as a dad, just like you, his passion or his world he can escape into is a gaming world, yet I'm like, how do I protect him? How do I keep him safe? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have a stroke. I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown just trying to keep this kid safe from gaming. Right? The idea of gaming online, it just I hate the idea of gaming online because I'm so scared for him. Yeah, I'm so scared for him. And obviously you're in that world. You physically game online to people, broadcasting that. And I wonder how you've been able to navigate that. Because clearly gaming was a big thing for you. Did you kind of have much when you were younger where you had to interact online or you had to deal with people?
When I first started streaming, it's almost been 2 years. In 3 months, it will be 2 years. So basically, when I started streaming, reading the chat, it was so cringing. There was times I wanted to hit stop streaming, but like I had to move my mouse over here to just push myself to do it. I've always wanted to stream. But in my whole 20s, I was too scared talking to people. I didn't focus on mental health. So I was trying to figure out the cheat codes, but I was looking for the wrong cheat codes. So I was a little bit behind of learning this lesson, and I wasn't taught about mental health is important. So when I started streaming and reading the chat, it was very choppy. It was very hard. I had the most meanest comments that you're dumb, that all these things I said even about myself, they were the big bullies. And I didn't give up. I said, no, I love this. This is great. There was people that stayed, and it was mostly the autistic people, because they understand. They know what you're saying. They have the patience, and they stayed, and they built up my confidence. And then the craziest part is in 6 months, I was reading faster. I was getting better. I was getting no words that I didn't know. The reason why I stream too is just keeping going your brain, reading it constantly. I'm getting better and better and better. I didn't have a very good school education in Jersey. During my time in the 90s and early 2000s, when they put you in special ed, they didn't really teach us. They put mental behavior kids with the special ed kids and the autistic kids. The mental kids, they came through a very rough background. So they picked on the special ed kids. They couldn't have them in class because they would disrupt the bigger class. Our class was smaller, so they put it with our class. Now they have separated. It has changed, but in the 90s, and people my age, not just in Jersey, in other state, in United States. So when I am streaming, we can actually understand if we didn't have a school education or anyone giving us the patience of teaching, but we can teach each other. I've learned through streaming where, like I said, people in autistic, everyone has a gift. I have a gift of reading faces because I've been through pain. I'm very creative, very creative personality. I've met autistic people where they're not creative, but they're wicked smart and they can understand anything. And I'm like, how? How did you figure that out? How did you? And it's so funny when you get a book smart and a creative and you put that in a community, it's like the coolest thing in the world of ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Out of all the platforms though, do you think you chose Twitch because you can kind of hide behind a game?
A friend suggested it. They said YouTube's more harsh. So
but do you feel like you're more peaceful? Do you feel like you can use the game as a cloak? You can kind of hide you don't have the gaming or the game side, or the kind of protects you in a way, as opposed to
in the beginning, because I had something and I'd be like, hi, and like try to act normal, and then I started opening up because I was bringing the wrong people to my community. I wasn't being myself. I was pretending to look like a person that wasn't autistic, and it wasn't bringing the right people in. And then I was like, it was like real quick, like after the third month, I was like, nah, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be 100% myself. And I brought in the right community.
Yeah,
so.
But you got to tell me about Twitch though. I'm sorry, I'm an 80-year-old man. Okay, that's how I feel.
Well, that's how I felt.
But, exactly. But see, at least you're doing great on it now. I still have no idea how to even watch you. Like sometimes I try to watch you, and I'm like, how do I just talk? How do I say hello to her, or how do I like it? Like, oh, hang on, I've given her $1 million. What did I do? I pushed the wrong button. It's like shit. I just want to say hello. I've got to buy a house to say hello? What are you saying? It's like, shit, am I subscribing as in like financially, or am I just, oh shit, what is happening? I had a stroke. I just wanted to say hello to you. I don't understand Twitch, man. It kills me. I can't get my head around it. I mean, it's amazing, but so this is what I'm saying. I don't know how you don't get overwhelmed. I'm on Twitch. There's like 7 different things flying at the same time. You're playing, going, there's all these things. There's like 7 different chat windows. It's like, which chat window can I be in? Do I have to apply to get into a window? Like, shit. Twitch, man. It makes me twitch. I was twitching.
Listen, Mr. YouTube. I didn't know if I was subscribing you or following you. I was so confused when it said subscribe. And I was like, okay, follow, right? Follow. Is it subscribe? Wait, my subscribe is a sub. I'm so confused. I'm dyslexic too. Do not do that to me.
I still don't understand it. I still don't understand Twitch at all. I really don't. I feel like
I don't
such an
understand
old
it either.
man.
I literally just learned on the go. Like, it was
Yeah.
really embarrassing. People were like, "Oh, do a shout out," and I was like, "Huh?" I just went with it, you know.
It's great though that you're able to find a community in so many different areas. Like, isn't it? It's great that I can find a community on one platform. You can find a community on a different platform. It just shows how easy it is these days for neurodivergent people to actually find people they can relate to. Because when you and I were younger, there was no relatable people we could kind of find in these spaces. So it must be so empowering for you to know that people can find you on whatever platform they like, and they can get someone to look up to and go, okay, cool. It must make you feel good.
It definitely makes me feel good because I wanted to do this for the longest time, and the longest time I learned, definitely learning about myself with streaming, was I was a people pleaser. And my whole 20s, I would message people on Facebook that felt suicidal or like anything I can relate to help anyone basically not feel alone, like legit not feel alone in the world. If it's weird because you can feel like you have people around you, like your whole family and friends, and you can still feel alone. So like, don't be freaked out if you're like, why do I still feel alone? Like, it's because it's tough, and
I mean, you can feel like you love your family, but then still feel like you don't feel like you're part of your family.
I've had to like push my sisters aside. That was the hardest. You have to leave certain family members just because it's blood. It doesn't mean, and that was so hard. I had to get therapy for, because I thought my sisters knew me best because they grew up with me. And then when I went through therapy, my therapist would constantly tell me, like, sometimes you have to walk away. And in my early 20s, I wasn't listening. And I was trying and trying and trying and trying. You can't change people, And sometimes, and this is the biggest thing that I've learned, not just family, like relationships and friends, sometimes there's too much damage that has been done. Yeah. And you just have to walk away. And that's okay. You don't owe them anything. You know what I mean? Just walk away. And my problem was there was a lot of guilt trip. It was really confusing me. Because they were feeling the same way. Like, oh, there's this problem. We have the same problem. And I would try to explain, we can't drama bond. What we're doing as sisters, we have to heal. We have to do something about it. I'm going to get therapy. Are you getting therapy? No. Okay. Did you get therapists yet? No. Why is the autistic person getting the therapy? Come with me. Do you want to come with me? Like, we can, let's go, Yeah. And the problem was when there's mental health, I had bad habits, trying to mask. I smoked cigarettes to blend in. Don't let your kid watch The Grace. Don't let your kid, because literally I did that my senior year. Someone called me a Saint Teresa because I was very quiet like this in high school and I was very scared. And I smoked a cigarette, and I learned it from Grace, to impress a boy and to mask and fit in. So with that, I noticed with my sister, she had it very, very tough. Very, very tough. ADHD, and some people in their life, they consume something and they lose themselves when they consume something that's not healthy for them. And I can only help you if you want the help. I tried helping her. I tried for a whole decade, to the point where it drove me insane. That I had to walk away. Too much damage has been done. And you gotta let people sometimes be alone. Let them be alone, because you can actually damage the whole relationship. If you try. Even though you're coming from a good end, you're trying to heal them, but you can only do so much. And when I spoke to my therapist about such a young age and realizing flashbacks come to you, being autistic, I was abused by my sisters at such a young age. They weren't meaning to do it. It's just when we're kids, and maybe my sister mimic it from another friend, but they were just too harsh on me, you know. And as an autistic person, realizing very tough things like that, people you love and trust, sometimes you just have to walk away. Maybe later in life, maybe in the future, you'll forgive. It doesn't have to be now. If you want to focus on more important things, like I am, we'll focus on more about APD, since only 5% of the world has it. I'm going to have to be my own doctor. I'm going to have to study it. I'm going to have to... It's very overwhelming. Very, very overwhelming.
But it's great insights and really, like, honestly, genuinely fantastic and, you know, beautiful advice. I really want you to know that. I mean, it's really helpful. Now, mate, on YouTube, we can't just crap on for 3 hours and be successful, okay? We actually have to shut up at some point. You might not be aware of that. We can't just talk for 3 hours and people watch, okay? So I've got to stop. This is YouTube. This is not Twitch. But can I say, I mean, I want to genuinely say, I can't tell you how much I've loved meeting and chatting with you and getting to know you. I hope it's been okay for you too. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I definitely did enjoy it. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope I helped anyone, and it's okay. It's okay, basically.
You definitely did.
Fine.
You definitely did. You did bloody great, and you helped a lot of people. And honestly, thank you so much, really, for being so open and vulnerable. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I love your work, and thank you for helping people, seriously. Like, you've helped me with some of your videos, so seriously, I do appreciate that, and don't stop. Please, because I love them. They're a good morning for me when I get my coffee, so thank you.